The stars above Earth were quiet, almost too quiet. Once the sky had been filled with the shining roots of trade ships glowing like fireflies. Now the skies were empty. The galaxy had turned its back on humanity. The decision had been broadcast to every human world. In the halls of the Galactic Council, alien voices spoke with cold judgment. Humanity is reckless. Humanity is violent. Humanity cannot be trusted. By vote of the Council, they are exiled. The gates to the stars closed. Trade ended. Allies vanished. Earth was left alone. But humans were not broken. They were angry. On the last night before the exile took full effect, Admiral Rhea Malik stood in a dark war room beneath the ruins of New Geneva. Holograms flickered before her, maps of star systems shrinking one by one. Jonah Park, an engineer with tired eyes and grease-stained hands, muttered, "They think we'll just fade away. No fuel, no food, no allies. That's their plan." Rhea's jaw tightened. "And they think wrong. Humanity doesn't kneel, not to anyone." From the far corner, a calm voice added, "We must be careful, Admiral." It was Mira, a diplomat, who once argued for peace in the Galactic Council. Her eyes were sharp now. "The aliens did not exile us because we are weak. They did it because they are afraid of what we might become." Outside, in the abandoned streets of the city, people whispered the same question again and again. What happens next? Rumors spread like fire. Some said humans were building a secret fleet. Others said the exile was a lie and that alien assassins would come next. Parents told their children not to look at the stars, but deep underground, the truth was stranger. Humanity was not dying quietly, it was preparing. Jonah led Rhea and Mira through a hidden tunnel. The air smelled of oil and burning metal. At the end of the tunnel, giant blast doors opened. Inside, rows of ships waited in the dark. They were not sleek like alien cruisers. Their armor was rough, patched together with old parts. Their engines glowed with unstable light. But they were real. They were human. "This is Project Phoenix," Jonah said with a proud grin. "They wanted us exiled. Instead, we will rise." Rhea touched the cold steel of a warship's hull. It hummed beneath her fingers. "Good, because war is coming whether we want it or not." Mira frowned. "War may come, but we must ask ourselves, who lit the fire? Did the galaxy truly fear us, or did someone push them to fear us?" Her words fell heavy in the air. 3 nights later, an alarm screamed across the base. A ship had been spotted near the exile barrier, the invisible wall of energy that sealed Earth from the galaxy. Rhea rushed to the command deck. "Report!" "Unidentified vessel," an officer shouted. "Not one of ours. It's alien, but no council markings." The room fell silent. Mira whispered, "Then who is it?" The ship was small, scarred from battles long past. It drifted closer to the barrier, as though testing it. Rhea narrowed her eyes. "They're not watching us. They're waiting." Jonah tapped furiously on the console. "Admiral, the barrier. It's not just energy. There's a signal inside. It like a lock, or..." His face paled. "Like a mind." Everyone stared. Mira's voice shook. "A mind? You mean the exile wall is alive?" Jonah nodded slowly. "Not alive the way we are, but conscious enough to know who passes and who doesn't." A chill swept across the room. The exile was not just political. It was something much darker. Hours later, the alien ship sent a message. The words were broken, distorted, but clear enough. "Humanity must not break the seal. The galaxy fears what sleeps in your blood." The room filled with whispers. "What does that mean?" an officer muttered. Rhea's voice cut through the fear. "It means they're lying. They want us weak, trapped, afraid. But we will not stay behind their wall." She turned to Jonah. "Can we break it?" Jonah hesitated. "Maybe." But if the barrier is alive, breaking it could wake something. Rhea's eyes hardened. Then we'll be ready for it. That night, Mira stood alone by a window, watching the stars. She remembered the council chamber, the smug faces of alien leaders. She remembered the vote, every hand against humanity. But she also remembered something else, a shadow. A figure slipping into the chamber, whispering into alien ears before the vote began. Her chest tightened. It wasn't fear alone, she whispered to herself. It was manipulation. The next day, humanity launched its first test. A single ship roared toward the barrier. Its crew was small, volunteers who knew they might not return. From the command deck, Rhea watched as the ship struck the wall of light. Sparks exploded, engines screamed, the wall rippled as though alive, resisting, pushing back. Then, with a blinding flash, the ship vanished. Silence filled the room. "They're gone," Jonah whispered. "No," Rhea said firmly. "They broke through. And if they can, so can we." Mira turned to her. "And what if the council was right? What if we are unleashing something even worse than exile?" Rhea stared into the glowing barrier. Her voice was calm, steady, unshaken. "Then, let it come. Humanity has been feared, hated, and cast out, but we will not vanish. Whatever waits beyond that wall, we will face it together. And this time, the galaxy will remember our name." The stars above Earth flickered, brighter than before. Somewhere beyond the barrier, whispers stirred. The galaxy thought humanity was finished, but in the silence of exile, a fire had been lit, and that fire was only beginning to burn. The first days after exile were filled with silence. No trade ships came, no signals from the stars reached Earth. The great cities, once alive with light, now grew darker with each passing week. In the ruined capital of New Geneva, people stood in long lines for food. The old markets were empty. Children asked questions their parents could not answer. "Will the aliens come back, Mama?" a boy whispered as his mother pulled him close. She shook her head, hiding her fear. "No, child. They left us behind." But everyone knew the truth. The galaxy had not only left, they had abandoned humanity to die. In the underground war room, Admiral Rhea Malik studied reports with sharp eyes. Across the table, Jonah Park threw a pile of broken circuits onto the desk. "We're running out of parts," Jonah said. His voice was heavy with frustration. "Every ship I repair breaks again in days. We have no fuel, no resources, no supply. Chains. The council cut us off from everything." Rhea's gaze stayed steady. "And yet we survive." Jonah rubbed his forehead. "For how long? A month, 2. People are starving. Cities are burning. If something doesn't change, the humans will destroy themselves before the aliens ever lift a finger." Mira, the diplomat, stood near the darkened window. Her face reflected the faint glow of the city above. "They expect this," Mira said softly. "The exile wasn't punishment. It was a sentence. They thought hunger, despair, and chaos would finish us." Rhea turned toward her. "And will it?" Mira's lips curved into a thin smile. "Not if we keep moving. Not if we remember who we are." Jonah laughed bitterly. "And who are we? Outcasts with broken machines?" "No," Rhea answered firmly. "We are fighters. Always have been. Always will be." 3 days later, a riot broke out in the northern sector of New Geneva. Citizens smashed into warehouses searching for food. Police forces tried to stop them, but they too were hungry, tired, and afraid. Rhea and Jonah arrived as the chaos spread. Flames licked the night sky. "Stop this!" Rhea's voice thundered across the street. Soldiers at her side fired warning shots into the air, but the crowd screamed back, "There's nothing left. You promised hope. Why should we follow leaders who only watch us starve?" Jonah stepped forward, raising his hands. "Listen to me. We are building something, ships, a future. You may not see it yet, but it is real." A man threw a rock that clanged off the armored transport behind them. His voice was hoarse with rage. "We don't need promises. We need food." The crowd surged forward. Then a sudden blast shook the street. Everyone froze. Smoke and dust filled the air. Through the haze, a figure stumbled into the open. It was a miner from the far colonies, his face scarred, his clothes burned. In his arms, he carried a strange object that pulsed with faint light. "They're coming," the man gasped, before collapsing at Rhea's feet. The crowd scattered, fear replacing their hunger. Soldiers pulled the injured miner to safety. Jonah knelt, inspecting the strange object. "What is this?" he whispered. The device was alien, smooth metal, glowing veins, symbols no human could read. Mira touched the surface, her fingers trembling. "This is not from the council." Rhea's eyes narrowed. "Then who?" The miner coughed blood. "Raiders, scavengers. They hunt the weak. When they saw Earth was cut off, they came." His voice broke into a harsh laugh. "Exile was never the end. It was the beginning." That night, the war room was filled with silence. The alien device sat on the table, glowing faintly like a living heart. Jonah paced. "If raiders are moving in, we're finished. We can't fight the council, and we sure as hell can't fight pirates with alien weapons." Rhea's voice cut through his panic. "We don't run. We don't hide. We strike first." Mira frowned. "Strike with what? We barely have working ships. Our weapons are old. Our people are desperate." Rhea leaned forward, her eyes burning. "Desperation is strength. They exiled us because they feared our spirit. They were right to fear. If pirates think we are weak, then we must show them otherwise. We will fight." Jonah slammed his hands on the table. "You'll send people to die." Rhea met his gaze without blinking. "Better to die standing than starve crawling." 2 weeks later, humanity launched its first mission since the exile. A single warship, patched with steel and powered by unstable engines, left Earth's atmosphere. Its crew was small, volunteers who knew the risk. The stars stretched before them, silent and endless, but silence could not hide danger. Hours into the mission, the ship picked up a signal. It was faint, broken, but clear enough. Human vessel. Surrender or burn. Jonah, monitoring from Earth, shouted through the comms, "Admiral, it's them, the raiders!" On the bridge, Rhea stood tall. Her voice was calm. "Let them come." The raider ships appeared like shadows, sleek and jagged, painted in scars of battle. Their weapons charged with eerie light. The human crew tightened their grips on old rifles, ready to die. But Rhea smiled. "They underestimate us." She gave the order. "Fire." The human ship roared to life. Cannons thundered, missiles streaked across the dark. One raider ship exploded in a burst of fire. The others scattered in shock. Jonah's voice crackled through the comms. "You did it! You actually did it!" Rhea's eyes stayed locked on the stars. "This is only the beginning." When the ship returned, damaged but victorious, the people of Earth gathered to watch. For the first time since exile, they cheered. Children shouted, families wept. Hope flickered like a flame. Mira spoke quietly to Rhea as the crowd celebrated. "They will come again, stronger, angrier." Rhea nodded. "Good, let them. With every battle, we grow. They wanted us broken. Instead, they've given us a reason to rise." Her gaze lifted to the sky, where the faint barrier of exile still glowed. "We were meant to die in silence," she said. "But we will roar instead, and the galaxy will hear us." The victory against the raiders spread across Earth. Like wildfire, for the first time since exile, the people felt hope. A single patched-up ship had fought and won against alien predators. It was proof that humanity was not weak. Crowds gathered in the ruined cities, chanting the names of the crew who returned alive. Children played with wooden models of ships, pretending to fight raiders in the sky. For a brief moment, Earth seemed alive again, but in the war room the celebration was short. Admiral Rhea Malik stood over the glowing alien device the miner had brought back. Its strange light pulsed like a heartbeat, filling the chamber with unease. Jonah Park rubbed his tired eyes. We won one battle. That's good. But this thing, it worries me. Mira, the diplomat, kept her voice low. It is more than a weapon. It feels like a warning. Ria's gaze was hard. Warning or not, we use what we have. Humanity doesn't throw away tools when survival is at stake. Jonah shook his head. Admiral, you don't understand. When I touched it, I felt something like it was watching me. Silence fell across the room. Weeks passed. Factories long abandoned came alive again. Engineers and workers labored day and night, building ships in hidden docks. They salvaged old satellites, stripped ancient rockets, and forged them into something new. The new fleet was not pretty. Its ships were crude, armored with mismatched steel, engines roaring like beasts. But they were powerful in their own way, made to endure. Jonah guided the work with restless energy. Don't care how it looks, he told the engineers. If it flies and fires, it lives. Ria walked among the workers, her presence strong and steady. To some, she was a commander. To others, she was hope itself. But Mira watched quietly, her doubts growing. She saw the hunger in people's eyes. They no longer spoke of peace. They spoke of revenge. One night, as the fleet neared readiness, Mira confronted Ria. You're turning them into soldiers, Mira said sharply. Every man, every woman, even the children chant for war now. Ria's voice was calm but firm. They need purpose. If they only sit and starve, they will destroy themselves. War gives them focus. Or it consumes them, Mira whispered. Ria turned away. Better consumed in battle than wasted in despair. The first test of the fleet came sooner than expected. Scouts reported another raider force approaching, larger this time, armed with strange energy cannons. The humans launched 3 ships. Their engines thundered through the void, shaking as if eager for battle. On the bridge of the lead ship, Ria stood tall. Jonah's voice came through the comms. Admiral, their weapons will tear us apart if we fight head-on. We can't match their power. Ria smiled grimly. Then we don't fight head-on. We fight human. The raiders opened fire, blasts of green light ripping through the dark, but the human ships moved unpredictably, zigzagging, breaking formation, using the wreckage of dead satellites as cover. Now! Ria shouted. Missiles! Launched, crude but deadly. One raider ship exploded, another spun out of control. The third tried to retreat, but a human vessel rammed it head-on, sacrificing itself in a burst of flame. On Earth, silence filled the war room as the battle ended. 2 human ships limped home, battered but alive. Jonah whispered, almost in disbelief. We won again. Mira closed her eyes. At what cost? The returning crews were welcomed as heroes. Fires lit the night sky in celebration. Songs of war echoed across the cities. The people no longer saw themselves as victims. They were becoming something else, something sharper, harder. But deep inside the hidden base, Jonah continued to study. The alien device. The more he worked with it, the more uneasy he became. It seemed to pulse faster now, like it was feeding on the chaos around them. One evening, as he traced the glowing veins on its surface, the device came alive. A voice, cold and distant, whispered in his mind, "The flame grows. But flames burn, and you will not control it." Jonah stumbled back, his face pale. Ria rushed in. "What happened?" It spoke, Jonah said, trembling. "It's not just a machine, it's something more, and it knows us." Mira's voice was sharp. "I warned you. We are playing with fire we do not understand." Ria clenched her fists. "Then let it burn. If the galaxy fears what we might become, let them be afraid." That night, Mira stood alone at the edge of the city, watching the stars. The chants of celebration echoed behind her, but she felt no joy. She remembered her days in the council chamber, when she begged the aliens to see humanity as partners, not monsters. But now, as she listened to her people, she realized something terrifying. The Council had not created the monster they feared. Humanity was creating it themselves. Days later, the alien device gave off a new signal. Jonah traced it, his hands shaking as the data unfolded. "It's a map," he whispered. "Coordinates, somewhere beyond the barrier." Rhea's eyes lit with determination. "Then that is where we go. If this device has answers, we will find them." Mira stepped forward. "And what if the answers destroy us?" Rhea looked at her without flinching. "Then at least we'll fall reaching for the stars, not rotting in exile." The next mission was prepared in secret. 3 ships would leave, carrying the device, and follow the map. The people of Earth did not know. They only knew their leaders, spoke of destiny, of rising again. As the ships launched, Rhea stood on the bridge, eyes fixed on the endless dark ahead. Behind her, Jonah whispered, "Admiral, do you ever wonder if we're walking into a trap?" Rhea's voice was steel. "Of course, but better to walk into a trap than wait to die." Mira's voice, softer, carried through the silence. "Or perhaps we are not walking into a trap. Perhaps we are becoming the trap." The stars stretched before them, vast and unknown. The barrier shimmered faintly in the distance, waiting. Humanity was no longer broken, no longer silent. A hidden flame had been lit, and it was spreading fast. What waited beyond the barrier was a mystery, but one truth was clear: humanity would not be caged. The 3 human ships moved like shadows across the stars, following the map hidden inside the alien device. Their engines were old and loud, but their hearts burned with determination. Each crew member knew they carried the hopes of Earth. The lead ship's bridge, Admiral Rhea Malik, stood with her hands behind her back, eyes fixed on the endless dark. Jonah Park worked at the console, his fingers dancing nervously. Mira sat quietly near the window, her gaze lost in the void. "We should turn back," Jonah muttered. "This map, it could be bait. The raiders, the council, someone is waiting for us." Rhea's voice was steady. "Or it could be the key to breaking the exile. We cannot survive forever in silence." Mira finally spoke. "Both of you are right. It may save us, it may destroy us. But we have already chosen to walk this path." The crew fell silent as the coordinates drew them closer to a small, broken moon orbiting a dying star. The surface was scarred, riddled with craters. At the center of one crater, something glowed faintly. Jonah swallowed. "That's no natural light," Rhea nodded. "Prepare to land." The ships descended slowly, engines rattling as they entered the thin, unstable atmosphere. Dust clouds rose as they touched down. The glowing object lay half buried in the crater's floor, pulsing like a giant heart. The landing party approached. Carefully, the glow reflected on their visors, bathing them in pale blue light. "It's a gate," Jonah whispered. The structure was a ring of metal, covered in strange symbols. Energy flowed through it like water, rippling and alive. Mira's voice was uneasy. "This is older than the Council, older than any empire I know." Suddenly, the alien device they carried began to hum. It floated from Jonah's hands, locking itself into the gate. The symbols lit up, one by one, until the air inside the ring shimmered. A voice filled the crater, deep and echoing, not from the gate, but from their own minds. "Children of Earth, you stand where others once fell. Do you seek freedom or power?" The humans froze. Jonah stammered, "It's talking to us." Rhea's voice was firm. "We seek survival, nothing more." The voice rumbled like distant thunder. "Survival leads to war. War leads to dominion. Dominion leads to chains. Do you seek to chain or to break?" Mira whispered, almost to herself. "It's testing us." The ground shook violently. From the far side of the crater, dark shapes emerged. Ships, sleek, alien, but not council. Designs, raiders. They had followed the same signal. "They're here," Jonah shouted. We walked right into them. Blasts of energy tore across the ground. The human soldiers scrambled for cover, firing back with old rifles and cannons. The air filled with smoke and fire. Rhea drew her weapon and barked orders. "Hold the line, protect the gate." Mira crouched behind cover, her heart racing. She saw one raider soldier fall, another rise. The humans fought savagely, using every trick, every scrap of courage. But the raiders were stronger, better armed. Jonah yelled over the comms, "Admiral, we can't win this, not like this!" Rhea's eyes flashed. "Then we make them fear us." She sprinted toward the gate, firing as she ran. The alien device pulsed brighter, almost alive in her presence. Rhea pressed her hand against the metal ring. The voice spoke again. "Will you submit to chains or defy fate?" Rhea shouted into the storm of battle. "We defy!" The gate roared to life. A surge of energy exploded outward, sweeping across the crater. The raiders were thrown back, their weapons shattering, their ships cracking under the force. When the dust cleared, the raiders lay broken. Only a few crawled away into the shadows, fleeing. The humans stood stunned, weapons still raised. The battlefield was silent, except for the hum of the gate. Jonah ran to Rhea, his face pale. "What did you do?" She shook her head slowly. "I answered." Back on the ships, the crews watched the recordings in disbelief. A single word spread across Earth when they returned. Defiance. The people cheered louder than ever before. They no longer spoke of exile. They spoke of victory. They sang songs of the gate, of Rhea's stand, of the fire that made raiders flee. But Mira did not cheer. She remembered the voice in her mind, asking if they sought chains or freedom. She remembered the power that burst forth, power no human could truly understand. One evening, she found Jonah alone, staring at the alien device, now dormant. "It's not a tool," Jonah said quietly. "It's alive. It wanted her to say those words. It wanted us to fight." Mira nodded slowly, and she gave it what it wanted. Weeks later, raider ships began spreading warnings across the galaxy. "Do not approach Earth. Do not face the humans. They are cursed. They are dangerous." The council tried to silence the rumors, but fear was stronger than law. In the hidden base, Rhea stood before her officers. "The galaxy wanted us forgotten. Now they whisper our name. That is our first victory, but it will not be our last." Jonah frowned. "Every time we use that gate, it will change us. It's not just a weapon, it's something more." Rhea met his gaze. "Then let it change us. We were exiled to die, instead we will rise." Mira whispered under her breath, unheard by the others. "And when we rise, what will we become?" The gate still pulsed faintly in the shadows of the hidden base, waiting. The humans thought they had used it, but in truth, it had touched them. For the first time in exile, the galaxy began to fear humanity's return, and in that fear, the first defiance was born. The story of the gate spread across Earth faster than fire. People whispered of Admiral Rhea standing against raiders, of a light that crushed enemy ships, of humans who refused to kneel. For the first time, fear turned into pride, but pride came with a cost. The galaxy now saw humanity not as weak outcasts, but as a threat, and threats were meant to be destroyed. In the hidden war room, Rhea studied the reports. Scouts confirm it. Council fleets are moving. Not just raiders, real warships. They mean to finish what exile started. Jonah's face was pale. "We can't fight the Council. Their fleets are endless, their weapons stronger than anything we've built." Mira's voice was sharp. "And yet, Admiral, you look almost calm." Rhea's eyes burned. "Because for the first time, we have a chance. They wanted us silent. Instead, they forced us to roar. If we must fight, then we fight to survive." Factories thundered day and night. Children carried scrap to engineers. Farmers turned their fields into landing zones. The whole of humanity became one machine of war. Jonah oversaw the weapons. He shouted orders to workers, sparks flying around him. No perfection, only strength. Bolt it together, weld it twice, and if it fires once, it's enough. Ships rolled out of the docks. They were crude, ugly things, but their cannons roared like storms. Mira watched the frenzy with unease. We are building a nation of soldiers. What will be left when the fighting ends? No one answered her. The first Council fleet arrived in orbit without warning. Dozens of sleek ships surrounded Earth, their lights cold and merciless. A message echoed across every channel. People of Earth, lay down your weapons, destroy your fleet, accept your place or be erased. Rhea stood on the command deck of her flagship, jaw tight. "Open a channel!" Her voice rang across space. "We do not surrender, not now, not ever." The Council replied with silence. Then fire. The sky above Earth erupted. Alien cannons lit the dark, their beams slicing through human defenses. Ships exploded like falling stars. The ground shook as fire rained across cities. On the bridge, Jonah shouted, "Shields failing! Hull breaches on decks 3 and 4. Rhea stood unshaken. "Return fire. Give them everything." Human ships roared back. Missiles launched in swarms, crude but relentless. Several Council ships faltered, one breaking apart under the onslaught. The humans cheered until they saw how many more enemy ships remained. Mira clutched the railing, her voice breaking. "We can't win this. They'll wipe us out." Rhea's gaze hardened. "Then we make them bleed first." Hours turned into days. The battle stretched across orbit into the asteroid fields, even down to Earth's skies. Human pilots fought with reckless courage, turning their weakness into strength. One fighter, engines burning, rammed straight into a Council cruiser, tearing it apart in a brilliant flash. Another ship, out of ammunition, lured 3 enemy vessels into the path of Earth's old defense cannons, destroying them all, but the cost was heavy. Cities lay in ruins. Millions were dead. Jonah slumped at his console, whispering, "We're winning and losing at the same time." Mira's eyes filled with tears. "This isn't survival. This is slaughter." Rhea's voice cut through. The despair. "Survival has a price, and we will pay it." On the 3rd night of battle, the alien device pulsed again. Jonah stared at it in horror. "Admiral, it's reacting to the war. It's feeding on it." The device glowed brighter, sending strange signals through the fleet. Suddenly, human ships moved faster, their weapons hitting harder as if guided by unseen hands. Pilots screamed over the comms. "It's like something is flying with us," Mira whispered. "The gate. It wants us to fight. It's helping us." Rhea didn't hesitate. "Then let it help. Push them back." The tide turned. Council ships fell one after another. For every human lost, 2 aliens burned. By dawn, the once mighty fleet broke and retreated into the stars. Cheers erupted across Earth. Against all odds, humanity had survived. But victory tasted like ash. Entire cities were gone, families torn apart, the seas burned red with wreckage. Jonah stood over the alien device, his face grim. "We survived. But at what cost? This thing is using us. Every battle it grows. Stronger. It doesn't want peace. It wants endless war." Mira's voice trembled. "And Rhea is giving it exactly what it wants." They looked toward the Admiral, who stood at the balcony, watching fires burn across Earth's horizon. Later, Rhea addressed the survivors. Her voice echoed through every city, every station, every hidden base. "We were meant to vanish. The galaxy tried to erase us, but we endured. We bled, we burned, and still we stand. This is not the end of exile. It is the birth of something greater. Humanity will never kneel again." The crowd roared with defiance. Hope returned, but so did hunger for more battles. That night, Mira approached Rhea in private. "You speak of survival, but I hear conquest in your words." Rhea turned, slowly. "Conquest, no. But survival does not mean hiding. It means carving a place where no one can touch us again." Mira shook her head. "At what point do we become the very monsters they feared?" Rhea's eyes were cold fire. "Perhaps monsters are what we must become." The war had not ended. It had only begun. The council would return with stronger fleets. The raiders would spread chaos. The gate would pulse again, hungering for more, but humanity no longer cowered in the shadows. They had faced the storm and lived. The war of survival had started, and there would be no turning back. The fires of war still burned across Earth. Cities lay in ruins, oceans carried wreckage, and the sky bore scars of battle. Yet, in the silence, after the storm, one truth remained. Humanity had survived. For the first time in history, every nation stood as one. Borders no longer mattered. Flags no longer mattered. Only survival. Admiral Rhea Malik stood on the balcony of the rebuilt command tower, overlooking the broken city below. The people cheered her name, their voices filled with defiance. But her eyes did not rest on Earth. They rested on the stars. "They will come again," she said quietly. Jonah Park, his face pale and weary, adjusted the data pads in his hands. "The Council lost their fleet, but they will not forget. They will return, stronger, and when they do, we may not hold." Mira, standing beside him, spoke with a voice heavy with warning. "And when they return, the device will demand more from us. Every battle, it grows hungrier. Can you not see it, Rhea? It feeds on our war." Rhea's gaze hardened. "Then, let it feed. So long as it gives us strength, we use it." In the underground hangars, the fleet prepared once more. The ships were still rough, scarred from past battles, but they were no longer desperate scraps. They were symbols of a people who refused to die. Jonah worked day and night, upgrading weapons, repairing engines. Sparks lit the air as welders fused steel to steel. "We're building faster than we can think," he muttered, shaking his head. "We're winning battles, but losing ourselves." One young pilot, barely more than a boy, overheard him and smiled. "Losing ourselves? No, sir. We're finding who we really are." Jonah said nothing, but the words chilled him. The alien device glowed brighter with each passing day. It no longer needed to be touched to awaken. Its pulse filled the air like a heartbeat, reaching through the walls, through the minds of those who passed near. One night Jonah woke in a cold sweat, woke in a cold. The voice echoed in his dreams. "Chains or freedom, survival or conquest, the choice is yours. But the fire will not stop. The fire must spread." He stumbled into the war room, breath ragged. Mira found him there, staring at the device with haunted eyes. "It's speaking again," Jonah whispered. "It wants us to spread, to move beyond the barrier. It won't let us stay." Mira's voice was low and fearful. "Then perhaps it is not we who are choosing. Perhaps it is choosing." For us, the decision came sooner than expected. Scouts reported a new council fleet gathering at the edge of the Exiled barrier, larger than before, armed with weapons never seen by human eyes. Panic spread through the cities. People feared the end had finally come. But Rhea did not flinch. "This time," she declared to her officers, "we do not wait for them to strike. This time we carry the fire to them." The command deck erupted in shock. Jonah slammed his fist on the table. "You can't be serious. We're barely holding on here. To attack beyond the barrier is suicide." Mira's eyes widened. "Rhea, you speak of survival, but this is war without end," Rhea's voice thundered. "They will never stop hunting us. Every battle we wait for them, we lose more. If we are to survive, we must rise. We must break the chains they placed on us. The fleet gathered, dozens of ships, crude but burning with human will. Engines roared, weapons gleamed. Every man and woman who could fight stepped forward. As the fleet rose from Earth's skies, people below looked up and wept, not with fear, but with pride. Children held each other, whispering, "They are ours, they are us." The exile barrier shimmered before them, a wall of light across the stars. It pulsed as if alive, daring them to try. On the bridge, Jonah's hands shook over the controls. "Admiral, if we do this, there's no turning back." Rhea's voice was calm, steady as steel. "There was never turning back. Open the way." The alien device glowed brighter than ever before. The gate came alive, symbols burning with fire. The barrier rippled, cracked, and then shattered. For the first time since exile, humanity stepped beyond the cage. The Council fleet awaited them, sleek ships gleaming with power, their weapons charged. A cold voice filled the comms. "You were warned. Now you will be erased." Rhea stood tall. "No, now we will be remembered." The battle erupted. The sky burned with fire. Human ships dove like wolves, striking with reckless fury. Council ships fell one by one, their commanders shocked by the madness of their enemy. Jonah shouted over the comms, "We're losing too many. Admiral, we can't hold." Rhea's eyes blazed. "Then we don't hold. We push." Mira clung to her seat, tears streaming down her face. "We're becoming the monster they feared." Rhea's voice thundered. "No, we're becoming what we were meant to be." The battle raged for hours. Then something unexpected happened. The alien device, still pulsing, released a wave of energy that stretched across the battlefield. Council ships froze, their weapons shutting down, their engines silent. Human ships kept moving, kept firing. Jonah gasped. It's crippling them. It's fighting for us," Mira whispered in horror, "or using us to destroy them." Rhea gave the final order. "Finish it." One by one, the Council fleet fell. The humans stood victorious. When silence returned, the stars were clear. No barrier, no enemies, only freedom. On Earth, people wept with joy. The exile was over. Humanity was no longer broken, no longer outcasts. They had carved their place in the galaxy with blood and fire. Rhea stood at the bridge, her voice calm but fierce. "We were exiled to die. Instead we rose, and now the galaxy will never forget us." Jonah looked at the glowing device, unease in his eyes. "We survived, but at what price?" Mira stared into the stars, her voice soft. "Perhaps the price has not yet been paid." The fleet pressed onward into the unknown, no longer chained, no longer silent. Humanity had risen, and the galaxy trembled, and far in the dark, the alien device pulsed once more, its fire spreading, its hunger growing.